When you have 6 guys in the band, you spread your mustard pretty thin on those bologna sandwiches. We'll find out exactly how thin with the guys from Sparrow Blue on today's Reluctantly podcast.
Reluctantly.
This podcast, reluctantly sponsored by ThompsonMortgages.com. If you are set to renew your mortgage in 2026, reach out to Thompson Mortgages first. TimberBuiltHomes.ca. Homes and cottages, recreational dwellings, and more at TimberBuiltHomes.ca. Concept Clothing and Culture. Amazing custom-made clothes for men and for women at CONXEPPT.com. And Wendy Campbell, realtor at BlackmoreRealEstate.ca. If you would like to list your home, or if you're searching for your forever home, email Wendy at BlackmoreRealEstate.ca. WENDE at BlackmoreRealEstate.ca.
Reluctantly.
Hey, thanks so much for having us, Terry. Really appreciate
Thanks,
it.
Terry. Appreciate it, man.
Absolutely. Des, John, great to have you on the podcast. I've been following you guys for a spell now, and let me see. I think the most recent time I saw you was in Jasper.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah,
That was a lot of fun.
Was that before Christmas or after Christmas? I can't remember now. When was
that?
When
Was like 2025 January.
Yeah, that was just after Christmas. Yeah.
Oh, so
January
it was over
10th
a year.
weekend.
It was over a year ago.
Yeah,
It
well, we've
was.
been gone for a while, so
It's
yeah,
like
we've been
a
on
year,
the road for
3 months ago, 3.5
Yeah.
months ago. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I saw you at the Whistle Stop, and it was a packed house then. All kinds of fun, and yeah, that was the first thing I thought of when I saw you guys, because I've heard the music and I've seen the social media stuff. And seeing you play live and the wall of sound you create and the fun that you have and all of the performance aspects of it, that's another great thing I want to talk about with you guys too, is there is playing music and then there is performing. There's a very definitive difference between the two, and it's so refreshing to see you guys perform as well as creating, the music that you do and playing live. So that's really good stuff.
Thank you so much for saying the wall of sound, because it's something that we've tried to create over the years with 6 guys. I mean, how could you not? So being able to produce that in our music is fantastic, and it has been a thing for many years in music, and being able to reproduce that is fantastic. So thank you for saying that.
The reference to the wall of sound goes back to the Motown days, Phil Spector.
I was going to say Phil, yeah.
All of the things that you've been able to, and when I say you, I mean musicians in general, all of the things that you've been able to learn from, glean from, and experience, especially with the technology that we have today with the, all of the things that we see now on YouTube. You guys go back in there and get ideas and get reference points and stuff when it comes to production, when you're playing and writing and recording your own stuff. There's all kinds of opportunities for you to do it, not only from a vocal point of view, Des, but also from a guitar point of view as well.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it just seems like the more we play, the better the stage show gets, obviously. Since you've seen us last, I think it's definitely improved a whole lot more even since then.
Yeah, we just keep getting louder.
Well, not necessarily, but maybe a little bit for sure. But I guess we've played, we've had 3 tours since then, so pretty lengthy ones at that. So, we've been pretty tight, and then we had a good stint in the recording studio at Noble Street Studios in Toronto there at the beginning of the month. And, that was an absolute honor to be recording there, where lots of famous Canadian bands have recorded, like The Hip and Billy Talent and Bare Naked Ladies and lots of other, big name bands that we all know. And yeah, it was the first time we ever had people kind of asking us, like, hey, do you need a glass of water? Do you need this? Do you need that? We'll go get it for you. It's like, well, that's
getting catered at a studio. That was the weirdest thing.
Never been catered to before, so that was pretty cool.
So with that in mind, you rattled off some of the bands that have recorded at that studio. what was the opportunity or attraction, if there was something this significant that led you to go and record there, say, as opposed to recording on the West Coast or here at home or whatever? Because I'm assuming that home is for everybody is in Edmonton.
Yeah,
For
yeah.
sure.
I think the biggest draw to that studio in particular was we did North by Northeast like 9 months before we were in that studio, and we did a tour of the studio just to see what it was like. Our producer and recorder, Paul Milner, excuse me, he got us a tour in the studio, and it was just such a beautiful room, and the sound and the mechanics of it all were very enticing. And we kind of just said, whoa, it'd be really, really great to record in this studio. And lo and behold, yeah, roughly 9 months, maybe less, we had the opportunity to record there, and we didn't want to pass that up. So it sounded really great for the style of music that we were playing, because we recorded live off the floor, and that was the biggest draw to us. And yeah, it was just like the right place, I think, for this new album to be recorded in, and that was the major draw for us to be there.
How do you go from recording a song and releasing a song to releasing, recording and releasing an album? What's the dynamic there? Is there benefits one way or the other? Because the music industry is a lot different now than it used to be, right?
Yeah, it's a lot of singles, and then an album, where it used to just be album, even back in like the 60s, 70s and stuff. It was album, and then there was a single off of the album that was played on the radio that was charting and stuff like that. But then you get your album recognized because of, one or two songs that are played on the radio. But now it's, you record an album and then you pop out songs here and there as singles, but are still on the album. So I think we kind of do this mix between EPs and albums, where we can relay our music in single form, EP form, and album form. But it's really, this new dynamic of releasing music is hard to put a finger on all the time, because you don't know if you want to put the full album out right before, like, or after you've announced that you're putting an album out, or do you want to put singles out and promote the album, kind of thing. So we kind of do a mix of all of it, and it comes with music videos and the singles that are going to be released. You make music videos for those to promote those, and then they also in turn promote the album. It's a crazy dynamic, honestly, to get this music out nowadays.
All indie stuff, is there the dream accomplished or unaccomplished yet of being signed and having and again, you talk about the music industry, it's not like there's big advances that come musicians' ways anymore, and then some sort of deal where you have to pay that advance back, and I mean, it just doesn't work that way anymore.
Yeah, with this album coming out, I think the plan is going to be kind of to release just single, like probably at least half the songs, if not more, as singles first, and then put the album out after. Just because it seems like the way attention spans seem to be going, albums seem to be kind of getting, I don't know, put in the dust a little bit. So if you can just focus single by single by single, get that person to listen to that song, for a month or two, then put out another one and keep peppering them out. By the time the album comes out, they've already heard lots of it, and it's a lot easier to digest, because you already know most of it. Back in the day, like Des was saying, you can put out one or two songs and then an album, but then the whole album kind of goes to waste these days, it seems, if you do that. So I don't know.
Well, as far as that that being signed and releasing your music in one strong push, we are kind of, I mean, I think the majority of our time spent is to be not being signed, if that makes sense, because there's so much history in the music world that artists have to fight to keep their music and keep their ownership of it. And a lot of the new people that we're working with, they say, just own your stuff. Don't sign to a label, sign to a distribution deal, so that they can help promote your music and stuff like that. But as far as the dream of getting signed, it's starting to be more colloquial to not do record deals. It's very strange, but I think right now, since we recorded our second album fully indie, the third album is kind of leaning more towards that direction where we would just like to work with distributors and produce our own stuff and own our own stuff. It seems to be more of the new trend, not wanting to necessarily be trendy, but it seems like you get more ownership of your music that way.
Thick rock and roll is kind of the theme, the mantra with Sparrow Blue, and with the influences being what they are, Led Zeppelin and I don't know, Mount and sure, all of that stuff. Leonard Skinner, a little Southern fried flavor in there as well. When you have that to draw on from a covers aspect of it, it's a given, and it works in your live performance. When you're doing 3 sets a night, I would imagine that there's a little bit that you have to delve into as far as cover songs go. But when you as a band get to the point where you're able to draw on all of your own material for 3 sets a night, or for an entire 45-minute show if you're opening for someone, what's that feeling like?
Well, it was actually fantastic. On this tour, we did a nice solid 3-hour set of just our own material.
In Kingston.
And it was very, in Kingston, Ontario. It was very fulfilling because, like you said, when we first started out, we did have to draw on covers. We had 15 to 20 songs and they wanted us to do 3 hours. So we were learning a lot about how we wanted to play, but now we're at a catalog of close to, I think we're about 45, 50 songs now. So being able to play just a full straight ahead, no cover set for 3 hours I'm very proud of the guys for being able to do that.
Yeah. We're trying to get away from covers as much as we can these days, it feels like, just because we do have enough of our own stuff to put out there and we have to do these long, 3 sets a night type of thing. And we don't have to do those 3 sets a night things too often. It's usually like between an hour and an hour and a half, maybe 45 minutes type of sets. But the odd time you have to do it, you don't have to learn, 5-10 covers anymore. So it's pretty nice to, have a good catalog of music. And if you don't use the songs all the time, that's fine. You just got to keep on writing and keep on writing. And it's just, if a couple of them end up being hits, then great.
When it comes to covers, you want to not, I guess, maybe the word that I'm going to use is incorrect, but debase the original artists by the version of the song that you're playing, because we have grown up with these songs that we hold so dear, and then when you go on stage to play a cover, you're like, oh, am I going to do it the right way? Am I going to perform it as strongly as people want to hear it? But when you play your own music, it changes the dynamic of how you play the song. You put a different version of energy into the song, whereas you're not so concerned with being true to the original song that you're covering, and you can be true to the song that you've wrote. So that's the big difference. As a vocalist, anyways. I can't speak for the whole band, but that's how I personally feel when I'm singing a song.
You definitely have a lot more freedom with your own stuff, that's for sure.
Yeah.
A little more creative.
Well, when you're talking about covers and your version of it, I mean, what you can do is you can go up and you can perform note for note, word for word, tone for tone, inflection and inflection, and everything can, trying to be the band
right
that did the song originally is going to be something where you're almost putting yourself up for
it's
a
like a
guaranteed fail.
catastrophic failure attempt.
Right. But if there's a Sparrow Blue version of
right.
Give Me 3 Steps by Leonard Skinner, then, I mean, I'm not sure if that's the best example to use, but let's look at it this way. You got Streetheart with Under My Thumb.
Yeah.
That is a quintessentially different version than what the Rolling Stones did, and they truly made it theirs, even though they didn't write it. Or the same as Bad Side of the Moon by April Wine with the Elton John original. I mean, there's significantly different versions, and April Wine had a huge success with Bad Side of the Moon. So
I 100% agree, because I love like what Cat Power did with New York from Frank Sinatra, and she did Satisfaction by the Rolling Stones, and she made it completely hers. The only difference is people, when you're playing a live song, they tend to want to hear the song that they know in that cover aspect. So when you change things up completely and you haven't performed it as being your own version of the song, when they hear it, they just think, well, what the hell was that, kind of thing, especially the first time that they hear it. But I'm a total advocate of taking a song that was done previously and reiterating it in the way that you would like to play it, but in a live aspect, and especially when people don't know who your band is, essentially, when you play a song that is not the version of the way they are expecting to hear it, they get kind of confused. But I'm all for exploring doing like our own renditions of songs.
We've done Born to Be Wild.
Yeah, we did Born to Be Wild. That one kicks ass.
That one seemed to work pretty good.
A really good example of a song where you want it to be done the same way every time, no matter who is singing it, is the Canadian National Anthem. If I hear one more fucking guy singing his version of the Canadian National Anthem before a hockey game, I'm going to blow my head off.
They make a 45-second song into a minute and a half, and you're just like, dude, I want to watch the hockey game.
I just like the guy that we have, and that's good enough for me. He does it the same every time, and that's great. The opera style.
Robert Clark. He's the best guy in the entire league.
Yep. Growing up, I remember watching Paul Oriole, right? That was his name. Yeah, he was a legend, man.
Reluctantly.
This podcast is reluctantly sponsored by Wendy Campbell, realtor at blackmorerealestate.ca, serving the greater Edmonton area, proudly Canadian and locally owned. Contact Wendy at blackmorerealestate.ca. That's WENDE at blackmorerealestate.ca. Why does she not have a Y in her name? I don't know why. It's none of my business, probably none of yours too. Wendy has over 20 years of home sales experience. She has extensive knowledge of the new and previously owned home market. She can help you out with a free market evaluation of your home. And if you're looking to buy your forever home, she's got all the resources to help you with that as well. Not to mention, she's a builder partner with Rowett Homes. Wendy at blackmorerealestate.ca. WENDE at blackmorerealestate.ca.
Reluctantly.
Let me tell you about my mortgage broker for a moment. Mike at ThompsonMortgages.com has been client-focused for over 17 years. They take care of all the financial components of your real estate purchase so that you can concentrate on finding the perfect home. Whether you're a first-time buyer or renewing like so many other people in 2026, let ThompsonMortgages.com work for you. They find the lender, and it costs you nothing for their services. The lender pays. Download the app and get pre-approved in 60 seconds. ThompsonMortgages.com, 780-413-6743. Tell them you heard about them on the Reluctantly podcast.
Reluctantly.
John, you and Chad, I've known from previous bands. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. I want to get into the origins of Sparrow Blue. First of all, where did Sparrow Blue? How did that name come about between all of you?
Well, that came from one of our former guitar players, Bernie. He came up with the name when I started the idea to form a band, and we just kind of ran it by all the guys, and everyone's just like, yeah, sure, why not? Came from a Lana Del Rey lyric.
Yeah,
actually.
It wasn't a complicated version of anything. It was just, that sounds cool. Let's do
chill.
it.
Yeah, it was. Let's go with it. Sparrow Blue. It's kind of unique, I suppose. And then, yeah, it came from not a rock and roll lyric. It came from a Lana Del Rey song, I guess. And we're just like, oh, okay.
You just thought it sounded cool, had a good ring to it, and yeah, that's as complicated as it gets.
Had like a little logo idea going, a little bit of a font idea going, and so it's kind of ran with it.
How do you go from drums, bass, guitar, singer, maybe the $1 million lineup like Van Halen had or any other four-piece act, to all of a sudden you've got a rhythm guitar or, swapping back and forth on leads, and then you've got a percussion guy? How do you get to the point where you say, oh, okay, we're going to have 6 guys in our band instead of 4 or 5?
Well, it started with 7, actually. We actually had 3 guitar players, and then Liam was drumming, and then our buddy Russell, who's the percussionist, he's just kind of there and just like playing shakers and a couple other things. I was like, and I just recently saw Ringo Starr and his all-star band at the Jube around that time, which was like 2016 or something. So I forget who was all there. The dude from Toto was there. But yeah, he had a really good percussionist with him, and that's kind of where I got the idea to, let's try it out and see how it works. And yeah, Russell kind of had a chair that he taped a whole bunch of stuff together, a bunch of tambourines and cowbells and that sort of thing, and started hitting them with drumsticks. And then this set just kind of evolved over the years. And now it's like a pretty professional setup.
Well, and the thing is, too, with Russell, he's a phenomenal drummer as well. So his timing is fantastic, and he knows exactly how to hit a backbeat. He knows when he should be hitting, a cowbell can sound out of place if it's not hit correctly, or the shakers and tambourines might not land if they're clashing with the hi-hats or something like that. And Russ, like I said, is a phenomenal drummer to begin with, so he knows kind of where he slots himself into all the music. He knows all the spots to hit to fill in those pockets and hit the salt and pepper on all the songs.
Mm-hmm.
So that was, he kind of just landed in that spot, and I couldn't have it any other way. I love him.
Yeah, and then we lost our 3rd guitar player about a year into it, maybe. So then it was down to 2, and then we cycled through 3 or 4 different bass players already. We're this number 4 we're on, I believe, number 4.
Yeah, but we signed him. We got him on a 10-year contract.
Yeah, he's screwed now.
He's totally fucked.
Yeah, and Chad's our 2nd guitar player, and yeah, but the lineup's really good, and it's the tightest it's ever been.
I guess when you lose that 3rd guitar player, that's the end of your Leonard Skinner cover songs, huh?
Yeah,
yeah, the later days.
That was a lot to even just to put on a stage. Like, that's a lot of bodies, and especially when everybody wants to move and get into the music, you just fucking the amount of space is limited to be on a stage. I remember one time our 3rd guitarist, he was literally just like squished against the wall trying to play the songs, and I was like, oh man, these guys got nowhere to move. we got to keep playing these hard rock songs.
Still played some really tiny venues.
Where do I go? Yeah, it was a very tiny venue.
States, that's for sure.
Well, I was gonna get into that because I know you guys, all through March and April, you started off down in Denver and then, heading down to Texas and all far east in the US, and, I mean, it's one thing to get to a club or a venue and see the stage that you have to work with and then count your guys again, and even though you know
Mhm.
you're a 6 piece, you
Yeah.
you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
Yeah.
and me is 6, but even a rehearsal space is not that easy to find that's gonna hold 6 people, right? Do you have stories of rehearsing or trying to, get everything rolling for Sparrow Blue that you can, share with us?
Yeah, even recently, like I said, when we were in North by Northeast, we booked a rehearsal space for our show coming up, and it was very tiny. It was like somebody's kitchen, and it was like a small kitchen, and we were just nuts to butts trying to play some music, and it's Liam's got a big drum setup as well, and Russ has got his percussion set up, and you got the two guitars and bass, and we just kind of like packed like rats into this corner and just tried to get the rehearsal done, but we somehow find a way to make it work on any size of stage, even if I'm kicked off the stage and they're on the riser and I'm standing on the floor. We find a way to make it work all the time. But yeah, North by Northeast was actually pretty funny because we weren't expecting the rehearsal space to be so small, but yeah, we just packed in there like sardines. It was pretty funny.
Yeah, luckily at home we've had always a good rehearsal space. Like we've had, thankfully to Liam's family, we've had one this whole time, and then up until just recently, and now we've been at Dez's garage. So we've kind of organized that to have a jam space, and Liam's building a brand new studio actually in St.
Yeah,
Albert slash jam area for us. So that'll be ready this summer. So yeah, as
Yeah.
far as at home jamming goes, we've been pretty lucky. We even haven't had to rent any like steady jamming spaces at all in town or anything like that.
As we record this, it's, what is it? It's the Tuesday, April 28th. It's the week after I guess, would you call it the end of the tour that you had from March through to April, wrapping up with your show
Yeah,
at the
pretty
commercial?
much. Pretty much, yeah. Yeah, we had about a 2 week break there between the road and the hometown show, and now I would say the tour is officially over. Now
Yeah.
it's time to kind of, set up for jam. We have some festivals coming up this summer we're going to be doing, and then we got a bit of recording to finish. So we're just kind of seeing where the recording takes us at this point and seeing what other festivals we get accepted into, and then
yeah.
we'll be doing some more shows this summer for sure.
When people hear Sparrow Blue on tour and, quite often what people's imagination of on tour and what on tour actually means is two different things. And I get a kick out of reading the names of some of the places that you all played in, Denver, Dallas, Austin, Houston,
Yeah.
New Orleans. There's the Skylark Lounge, Three Links, Hotel Vegas, Black Magic Social Club, the Howlin' Wolf Den, and the Nick. Some of the
Yeah.
what sort of clubs were these? Are they? What's the capacity that you were playing to, and how are you set up going in?
Every single one of them is totally different.
I'd say the standard capacity of most of those places was about 100, 150. We're playing dive bars and stuff like that, and we've played several that were far larger than that and great turnouts. But yeah, sometimes you show up and they're like, "This is the stage," and you just look at it like, "That's the stage." kind of
Yeah,
thing.
usually those like Sunday, Monday, Tuesday gigs where you just kind of fill them in to fill time. Those are the kind of the stages that can be a little questionable sometimes, but usually Thursday, Friday, Saturday, you get into pretty nice rooms. Like that Howlin' Wolf one, for example, is a pretty legendary bar in New Orleans. That was pretty cool to be playing there, even though it was like a
That place was
Monday or a
awesome.
Tuesday.
That's the other thing that a lot of people don't realize is, when you get out on the road, the Thursday, Friday, Saturday gigs, they're gonna be well attended. There's gonna
Mhm.
be maybe, rooms that hold a few more people, but you gotta try and make some cash on the Sunday, Monday, Tuesday,
Yeah.
Wednesday gigs as well, so
Mhm.
you end up booking a place where you can. You look at the map, you see, okay, what's between, what's between New Orleans and Dallas, and how long is
Yeah.
it gonna take to get there? How long is it gonna take to get out of there so that we can find something in the next town that's maybe 4 to 8 hours away as well, right?
Exactly. That's exactly right.
Yeah, we did a random show that wasn't on the tour poster in, I think it was our first leg back in June of last year. We were just driving from Florida to New York, and our agent called and he said, "Hey, there's a show that these guys want you to play tomorrow night." It was in North Carolina. What was that? Gainesville, I believe. Just a runoff kind of thing. And we said, well, sure, we have a day off. Let's play a show. And, it was a 30 to 40-minute set that was unexpected and in the middle of the week. And we just said, well, we're on our way through. Let's play this show. Let's play this set. And it was a lot of fun, but very impromptu and just a very random night on the way through. But you pick up those shows and always try and sow the seeds and get your music out there. So
Talked about, having an agent, is that who looked after the tour from March to the end of April?
Yeah, we had a booking
You
agent. He booked all the venues for us, Mike Galaxy with Galactic Touring. He booked us in some pretty legendary rooms throughout all this time, like playing in the Viper Room in LA was, pretty awesome. A couple legendary venues down in Austin we got to play. In Chicago, we played right across the street from Wrigley Field. That was really cool.
yeah, that was cool as shit.
Yeah, Chicago was really cool. In New York, we got to play in a venue, where like David Bowie played and that sort of thing. So he's hooked us up with lots of good venues and shows. So we had a couple sold out shows on this tour, so that was nice. Down in Texas, we had one, and a couple in Ottawa, we had a sold out show. So yeah, this tour is definitely the most successful as far as attendance goes, and money making goes, and all that stuff.
So when your agent, gets you this tour and, sends the itinerary to you, you're all sitting there in rehearsal or whatever and saying, "Okay, everything we're playing at the Merry Widow and the Brass Mug." Do you kinda look at each other with a little bit of side eye and think, "What the hell?"
Well, I think one of the major things before we'd actually gone down into the States and crossed the border for the first time, we were unfamiliar of what venues' expectations are and what our expectations were. So yeah, we did kind of have that side eye. We're like, I don't know what this is going to be like, but I mean, the Merry Widow in Mobile was just one of the coolest, greatest venues that we played the whole like in this specific leg, and you never know what to expect. But yeah, we do get that kind of, I don't know what we're going into here, because like we played Tin Roof in Birmingham, Alabama, and it's a dive bar to say the least, but such an incredible atmosphere. So we walked in, we were like, oh shit, we're not really sure what to expect from this, but the energy once you start playing the music, it was just this built-in musical crowd that really loved to be there. So yeah, it was hard to say. I mean, Christ, we've played in way smaller places. I mean, we've played some questionable spots, but we've loved every single one of them.
A lot of the bars you can still smoke in.
Yeah, that was awesome. That was actually awesome.
I was talking to Jesse Roper on a recent podcast, and he was telling me about, some of the places that he's played, and how they were playing one night, and there was there was 2 people in the whole place, and they were sitting at the VLTs side by side, and Jesse and the band start playing, they got up and started dancing, and then the 2 people at the VLTs got kicked out because there was no dancing allowed.
No dancing allowed. So, but they were smoking at the VLTs and having shots of tequila and stuff. Like, yeah, but there's no dancing allowed.
That's
you can
brutal.
spend money and smoke cigarettes, but you can't dance.
No, never played anywhere that horrible, thankfully.
There was this very great, just speaking of VLTs, there was this really awesome spot we played in Harris, Saskatchewan last year. And it's literally the only place in this one-horse town that has live music, and it's the only bar and the only hotel. And we played that night for, I believe, 2.5 hours, and it seemed like the whole town was there. And they let us stay in some of the rooms upstairs, and we were in the VLTs smoking cigs, drinking beers all night. And then we woke up in the morning, and the owners of the hotel just like made us breakfast and stuff like that. But I swear to God, I don't even think I slept. It was like 7 a.m, and I hadn't slept yet because I was just drinking beers at the bar and at the VLTs and just partying all night. And like those smaller towns and those smaller venues are just, they're so much fun to play at. And it was great, man. Like Rehearsal, Alberta, do not hesitate to go there.
It's funny you called it a one-horse town. It was actually a 2-horse town because 2 people showed up on their horses.
That is true. Legitimate horses. Legitimate horses.
Yeah. They just pulled up and hitched them.
Only the fondest memories of that little town there, and it was great. And we pulled up in the school bus, and I could just see people walking by looking at things like, what the hell is this monstrosity doing in the parking lot? And it's just a school bus. And they're like, well, I guess there's going to be a party tonight. And the whole town was just at this bar partying all night, and it was so fun. So
I'd like to take a moment to tell you how excited I am to welcome a new partner on the Reluctantly podcast. It's Timber Built Homes. Their focus is timber homes and cottages, year-round living, recreational dwellings, and beyond that, pavilions, barns, and freestanding timber-built offices. Complete information is available at timberbuilthomes.ca, and it's also where you'll learn about Timberbuilt's Home in a Box. It's fantastic. An entire home package shipped in a sea can anywhere in the world right to your build site. See the floor plans, sample builds, photo gallery, and most important, the prices right on their website, timberbuilthomes.ca. And please let them know that you heard about them on the Reluctantly podcast. Hey, give me a minute to tell you about Concept Clothing and Culture. CONXEPPT.com. Suits and tuxedos. And you can find them right here in Edmonton. They're handmade suits, custom tuxedos, tailored essentials, suits starting at $1,188. You choose everything. The color, the fabric, even the stuff on the inside. You know, the little pokey pocket thing that sticks out. It's amazing. It's a terrific experience. You can go through and get something as fancy as a tuxedo, or you can start with outerwear, matching sets, tailored essentials. They even do shirts, trousers, vests, and they do amazing couture for women. CONXEPPT.com. Concept, Clothing, and Culture. Look your best.
Reluctantly.
You didn't have the school bus down in the States, did you? It wasn't the same bus that you were...
No.
Yeah.
That would have been a hard life to live.
Yeah, we luckily have a different tour bus now. That's like an actual Prevost, coach bus that we took out a bunch of the seats and put, actual bunk beds crafted in. and TV and couches and, storage areas and that sort of thing. So it's a lot more livable. There's actually a little bathroom in there, some appliances to cook with.
So tell me about that process. How do you go from a 6-piece band playing half your set, or your 3 sets over the course of an evening, you're playing cover tunes, and all of a sudden you've got a tour bus that you're traveling around all over down in the States, Denver, Dallas, Austin, Houston, Orlando, and all that. Uh, there there are inherent costs that come into play with a band like yours or any other band, where if you want to take that next step, that you got to come up with the money. Where does that, like, I know I'm not trying to get personal with your finances or anything like that, but how do you go to the 6 guys in the band and say, okay, here's what we need in order to get a Prevo?
Well, a lot of really good shopping for starters. Our manager is just a beast when it comes to finding deals on pretty much anything. He's just a really smart financier type of person. But then it also is personal funds that we put in, right? And all the money that we make on shows and touring and stuff, it's in a band fund. It's like none of us take it home. So we put it all into a pot and we use that money for the, expenses like that. We didn't hire anybody to do the reworkings of the bus. Like Bob and I, we built the bunks and the tables, and Liam was building the tables and stuff. Chad, he redid all of the air compressors on the bus because this thing couldn't even get off the ground when we bought it. That's why it was such a good deal. But Bob and Chad, they fixed the engine and the compressors and were able to get this thing moving again. And we've just got a bunch of blue collar guys working on this bus, so it's we don't have too much struggle being able to save money because we got hardworking hands on there.
Does Chad pull 2 salaries, guitar player and mechanic?
No.
He doesn't pull a salary as a guitar player. He pulls a salary as a mechanic.
Maybe you get some celery, but not a salary.
Well, here's the other thing too. I mean, there's six guys in the band, but it wasn't just the 6 of you. You don't, or do you all take spell off on driving the bus when you're down in Orlando and whatnot?
It's all Bob. He's got the air brakes.
Greatest manager of all time. He is our driver, our confidant. And he just makes sure that we are not fucking around too much. He makes sure that we're always on time for the driving, for the shows, for any aspect of it all. Bob is truly the 7th member of this band. Even though he doesn't play on stage, he is legitimately the only reason that we make it to shows, because we are animals. And he just cracks the whip. He's like, all right, assholes, get on the bus. We're going to this next show. We got to go. He's just the greatest blessing that we could have had in this band in total.
One of the interesting things about Sparrow Blue, I thought, was the GoFundMe that you put together, and how you tried to raise money through your fandom and friends and family and the whole 9 in order to take that next step. How successful was that? Is it something that you recommend for other bands? Is it something that you provide a return, so to speak? You know how people say, hey, if you give us $25, you're a member of the band and you get this, sippy cup or a ball cap or some sort of merch thing. Was it something that ended up being really beneficial for you, or was it more of a pain in the ass to try?
Well, last year worked out pretty well. Like it helped us actually pay for some of those work visas that are not expensive. I mean, not cheap to get to go work down in the States. And like we actually went way past our goal, and we had lots of rewards available for people, like signed drum skins, or like a guitar lesson with me, or like like a Russell's old cowbell, or lots of random stuff, signed records and signed shirts, and like a little cameo saying happy birthday to somebody. So there's lots of like little creative ways you can do things to make it work. And we really thank our fans for helping us make that extra step happen.
When you go through and do all your legal fees and your visas, application fees, and that's the other thing too. Application fees are application fees. It's not a guarantee that you get your visa or anything like that after you pay the ridiculous amount of money for an application.
Yeah.
You got to have a good team of lawyers, like music lawyers, to help you get through there. And luckily we had that with some of the people we knew through Paul Milner, who recorded our album with us in Toronto.
Yeah, it's crazy. You need letters from like Homeland Security and, sponsors from venues that are going to be having you play music at their place. I didn't think it was such a complicated process, but yeah, it is wild. But I never thought Homeland Security was going to be getting involved in just a go play music visa.
Yeah, and luckily those lawyers kind of organized that all for us, so made life a lot easier.
Entertainment lawyers and immigration lawyers and that. Did you guys use Kurt Dahl?
No, but we're familiar. We're familiar.
Kurt,
we know Kurt. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. We've talked with Kurt several times, but it was actually our, I guess, agent's company. It was a lawyer from New York. But no, we have talked with Kurt several times about the process of it, and he helped us out quite a bit.
He's helped us though, for sure. Yeah.
That's the one great thing. I've had Kurt on the podcast as well. Kurt Dahl. He's the coolest lawyer on the planet and the dorkiest drummer on the planet. Because he's a lawyer drummer.
Yeah, for sure. No, it's good to have in a band.
Yeah. We played with them last year, I believe it was, right, Johnny?
I think it's 2 years ago now.
Was it already? Jesus Christ!
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that
One Bad Son at the Yellowhead Casino.
At the Yellowhead Casino, yeah.
And that's another thing too. Kind of referenced that earlier. When you get to the point where you're able to fill your whole set, your whole night, with your own music, and how great of a feeling that is, where you don't have to dig into covers if you don't want to. But there's another sort of step in the many steps that there are in order for you to succeed in the music industry, is where you're opening for the Finger 11s, the Sheepdogs, the Trues and stuff. At what point do you get to the point where you go from saying, we're opening for Finger 11 to, hey, we're on the same level as Finger 11 or the Trues? Like, is that's a feeling that you've achieved, or you're still hoping for, or you've been there for a while? How do you feel in that?
Like I feel like we've had bits of that for sure. So the next step is when this album comes out, we're going to be getting it going through some pretty good distribution channels. And once some of those songs hopefully start to chart, then we can really start, getting those big headline spots, constantly, instead of just here and there.
And to feel that we're there, I don't think any of the guys, again, I'm speaking for more people than me, but to say, oh, we've played with the Sheepdogs, we've played with Finger 11, but we're moving ahead of that, from the statement that you were saying, I don't think we'll ever really feel that way, because we always just want to be continually upward, like Excelsior, and also humble at the same time. Like, we know where we came from, and we know the inspirations and the giants whose shoulders that we might potentially in the future be standing on. We're just very thankful to be playing with those people, and I don't think we'll ever just look back and be like, yeah, we played with those guys. But it's been an honor to be able to be in this industry with such successful people.
Right, and I didn't want to come off as something where you pass somebody, but just
Oh,
because
okay.
where you get to the point where you feel like you're peers, where
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Sorry. I guess
you
I misinterpreted that. But yeah,
yeah.
no. I think we're on our way. I think we're really close because we've played with these very very acclaimed bands, but I don't feel that we have like a lack of talent to not be up with them in peers. I think that we have the fortitude to be playing with them and get there, and then for them to notice us to say, hey, holy shit, that was a great show, right? That's just something that we work toward, right?
That's exactly what I was referencing, like, just where you get to the point where you say, "Yeah, we can hold our own with these guys, and they're great guys, we're good guys, and everybody just wants the same thing." There's always gonna be a smidge of competitiveness,
Of course, yeah.
but if the support far outweighs the competitiveness, like the Edmonton music scene has done for so many years, ever
Mhm.
since I've been involved with it over the last 40 years, you see that, and you just hope for everybody feeling the same way. Egos are gonna get there.
Absolutely.
They're gonna get in the way from time to time, but it when kind of comes right down to it, it's always the support that,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And,
means
we always want to invite people who haven't been in the Edmonton music scene to play with us in Edmonton. Like anyone from Saskatchewan or BC, these local people who have never been to Edmonton. We always want to bring them in and play with them because we know how talented they are and we know how much passion they have for the music. And yeah, I think that's a great thing about Edmonton music scene for sure.
John,
Yeah.
you're talking about, the upcoming stuff. I'm on your website right now, and I look over there, I see all of the March and April dates, everything from Dallas and Denver, Houston, Lexington, Charleston, all the way through to Regina, Saskatoon, and Edmonton this past weekend, and then I click on tour, and it says no upcoming shows. Not
No, we
too
got to
Oh,
fix
what the
that.
hell?
but you do have some festival stuff coming up off the top of your head. Can you think of some things that you've got coming so that people are listening can plan for it?
Yeah, June 7th in Calgary at the Lilac Fest. That's a pretty decent festival they have there that we've luckily been able to play for a couple of years now, and a couple thousand people usually see it at a time, so that's always a good time. And it's right on the street. Like there's a big stage set up right on the street, so people in Calgary can just come walk by and it's free to check out. So there's that one. And then July 1st, we're playing a big Canada Day festival in Wainwright, good old
Hell yeah.
Wainwright, Alberta. Then after that, we'll be doing a festival in Saskatchewan, in Whelan, Saskatchewan to be exact, pretty close to Loon Lake. And it's called the Dogpatch Music Fest. We'll be the headlining kind of rock band July 25th, that Saturday night. And then after that, we have another festival coming up in Calgary in September, but we're hoping to we'll have a few more shows coming up to announce, in the summertime and all in between those festivals. So those are just kind of like the landing points for, and we're hoping to have kind of shows like all around them and little tiny tours like Weekend Warrior stuff around all those things. So definitely some more show announcements coming soon. And
Good
we'll have them
deal.
on the website.
Awesome.
Yeah, they'll be on the website.
Russ on percussion, Liam on drums, Caden bass, Chad guitar, John and Des on vocals. John and Des, thanks for doing this today. I appreciate
Thanks so
it,
much,
man. All
Terry.
the
We
best.
really appreciate you having us.
Yeah, thanks tons, Harry. It's been an honor.
Great to see you, man.
Reluctantly.
This podcast reluctantly sponsored by ThompsonMortgages.com. If you are set to renew your mortgage in 2026, reach out to Thompson Mortgages first. TimberBuiltHomes.ca. Homes and cottages, recreational dwellings, and more at TimberBuiltHomes.ca. Concept Clothing and Culture. Amazing custom-made clothes for men and for women at CONXEPPT.com. And Wendy Campbell, realtor at BlackmoreRealEstate.ca. If you would like to list your home, or if you're searching for your forever home, email Wendy at blackmorerealestate.ca. WENDE at blackmorerealestate.ca.
Reluctantly.